Okay. Um, Good afternoon, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the second phase of the Zamfara State training. This is a training on countering misinformation and is sponsored by the US Embassy. The module is designed by Mythos Lab and is being implemented by the local partners, Great Child Foundation. Earlier in the day, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. precisely, we had a session for content creators. And this afternoon's section, which is designed to last from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m., but we shall try to make that more concise, considering our Muslim brothers that are in the Ramadan period. So we'll be aiming to finish up by 6 p.m. or earlier than that even. With your kind cooperation, of course, that is the only way we can actualize that. So therefore, I want to draw attention to the housekeeping rules. It was shared earlier on the general platform to guide us on communication and other activities that will take place. Amongst those activities would be the pre and post evaluation survey that will be furnished to gauge participants' knowledge on countering misinformation, disinformation, and hate speech prior to the training, and then another post survey, and then the post survey to gauge your understanding after the training. This is our own level tool to measure your level of comprehension of the activities. So I just pasted the link for the pre-training survey for everyone to fill before commencement. In addition to that, there are a few housekeeping rules I would like to reiterate, and that is on our communication pattern. Courtesy is quite important, and then tolerance. Of course, when someone has the floor, we should be more accommodating. Don't also forget that there's no right or wrong answer. You can only be better put through. Also, if you have questions, you could use the chat box or signify by raising your hand. At the end of the facilitator's presentation, we will yield the floor to you to ask your questions. I could see one or two persons that participated in the morning session. That means you double as both content creators and as journalists. Please be reminded that the logistics package that has been provided by the US Embassy only caters for one session. So while we'll be issuing you 2 certificates for participating in both training, you would only get 1 logistics package to take care of your data. Having said that, for those that are just joining, that didn't join the morning session, this program gives you an opportunity in the immediate to get a 10,000 naira logistics provision from the US Embassy to take care of your data for this training. And then you'll stand a chance to participate in the small grant opportunities. We anticipate that after this training, you would implement interventions of this kind and train your colleagues in the same field to understand this. And from your progress of training, we would identify those that are most actionable and empower them further to advance what they are doing already. Having said that, I want to quickly yield the floor to the Zamfara State Peace Committee Chair to please welcome participants to this afternoon's session, after which we would have the first facilitator to commence his presentation. Thank you very much. Mr. Joshua Kogusa, you have the floor. My chairman, you are muted. Okay, I think we lost you there entirely. Let me quickly add that if your bandwidth is not strong enough, please do turn off your video. when it's time for us to take group photograph for record purposes, we would call on you to on your video quickly. My chairman, we lost you there, but I'm glad you're back. Please welcome everyone to this afternoon's session. You are muted, sir. Kindly unmute yourself.
Thank you, my moderator. Once again, I welcome you all for the second segment of this training. I hope we are going to learn a lot. Just as we learned a lot in the morning, this one too is going to be impactful. I welcome you. You are all welcome. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that brief remark. We also have the ever reliable state chairman for Katsina State, Alhaji Saidu Jibril. Please, a quick welcome remarks from you, sir, before we proceed.
Participate, increase our knowledge, and to learn more about the dynamics, identification of fake news. I wish you the very best. Please, it is not all about the token that you are going to get. It's not about the certificate you are going to get. A lot of us are outside making noise and making calls there concerning they couldn't get entry and the rest of it. It should not be about that. It is a privilege and opportunity for us to learn. Let us put that learning first before any other thing. Let it be the primary focus of you having this time today so that you'll be better informed than ever you were before. Thanks so much. I welcome you once again.
Thank you very much, my chairman, for those very emphatic words to serve as reminder and as a clarion call to our participants to be more actionable. Okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we are hearing you. I'm hearing you.
Okay, so without further waste of time, we would be calling on the first facilitator, Mr. Sunday Williams. Please, Mr. Sunday, kindly introduce yourself while I call up your presentation, sir. May we meet you?
My name is Sunday Williams Omega. I am a journalist, working as a news editor, and also presently I do mental history in countering disinformation in our time. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
For the
Okay. Mr. Sunday, are you good to go?
Yeah, I am good to go.
Okay, sir. I'm at your service, please.
I'm good to go. Yeah. What we're talking about now is countering disinformation. And we're talking about fake and facts. If you look at what is on the screen now, you see there's a play on graphics here. What I mean by there's a play on graphics here. Fact and fake. It's been written together. The first two letters are used for both words. The only difference is the last two letters. That's the KE and the CT. What this is trying to make us understand is fact, there's a thin line between fact and fake, especially when it comes to news and information. There's a thin line between the two. And these two things that is in the media space is either a fact or fake. And that is what we are here to talk about. We're talking about countering disinformation. And countering disinformation, it's about identifying what is fake in the media space, and also ensuring that what we find in the media space is the fact. And why we need to do this is because fake news has really eaten deep into our society. Fake news has affected our socio-political life. Fake news has affected our health system. Fake news has affected even our educational system. The news that is not a fact, it gets into the community. Before you correct it, it must have done much harm. And that is why our responsibilities, one of our responsibilities is to make sure and to ensure that what gets to the media space is the fact, to ensure that it's not the fake news. Let's go to the next slide. Next slide, sir. All right. Now, there's a quote here that says, "Those who tell the stories rule society." You know, this is a quote by Plato. I believe Plato is a popular philosopher that we all know about. But this saying is very key, that those who tell the stories rule society. We are all journalists, and I believe we know about the agenda setting. We know about how, as journalists, how as reporters, our stories and our reporting can influence the thing, how it can influence the way of life of the people in the community or in the society where we are. And that is why it needs to be the fact. It needs to be the fact. And that is why we should be able to identify, we should be able to have is a fact. What's real information, that's the legitimate information, and what is not. There is this tree, the quote. I want us to all look at this tree. Let's have one or two people tell us, how many heads can you see on this tree? There's a tree beside this quote. Yes. How many heads can you see on this tree? Let's have somebody, let's have like 2-3 opinions. How many heads can you see on this tree? Yes, please. Hello, can somebody talk?
I can see 10.
Hello?
Hello?
Okay.
I can see 10.
You can see 10, sir.
I can also see 10.
Okay. Okay, you can also see 10.
Can see 9.
Okay. Let's see if somebody is a different even for now. This, you can see that the tree is there and with all the heads on it. But each of us is seeing different number of heads. Somebody saw 10, somebody saw 11, somebody saw 9, but it's the same tree and with the same number of heads. And that is how information is being viewed on the media space. Whatever information you release or you give, different people get to see, get to understand, get to view this information differently based on their orientation, cultural orientation, sometimes beliefs. All these things, all these things affect the way we look at information. All these things affect the way we look at data or informations that we see or that we read or that we watch in the media space. And knowing that so well, we as journalists now, we have seen that this very particular tree that is in front of us all, everybody saw it different. So have in mind that even the community, even the society, the people, they see what we give as information, as news, differently. They understand it differently based on their orientation, based on their beliefs, and based on their perception. And storytellers are wonderful people. And I want you to know that you are a wonderful person for the fact that you are a reporter or a journalist or a content creator. You are a wonderful person because you tell stories. In your life, you've once told a story, listener was amazed. You might not know, but once you are a storyteller, you're a writer, you're a reporter, I want to let you know this today, that there was a time you wrote something, somebody somewhere read it, and it appealed to his emotions. Somebody might even have shed tears by reading your story. Somebody must have changed his opinion about something by listening to your story or by reading your story. And that means that this is a fact that those who tell the story rule the society. So you're a very important person. Let's go to the next slide, sir. And so, as an important person, storytelling, our narratives are very important. Our narratives are meant to be narratives that are going to build the mindset of people towards peace, towards unity, and giving people, making people trust us. We are in an era where people had the sources of information they get. People hardly trust these sources of information. I could remember those days, especially those of us that grew up in the north, in the far north, you see people telling a story and they will tell you that we had this from the radio, so it can never be a lie. They will tell you this, we had it on so medium. They will say, it's BBC that said it. Oh. It is BBC. It is Voice of America that said so. So it can never be a lie. It's NTA that said it. People trust the media. Whatever is coming out from the media, it is trustworthy. The narrative can never be. In our time now, do they still trust us? Can we boldly say that yes, our media, our stories, do they still trust our source? Do they still trust us? What is our narratives made of? Are they made of false stories? Are they made of fake stories, or they are really, really facts of what is happening? Sometimes what really inform our narratives the negative way is the urge to break the story, to break the news. You know, you want to be the first person to break the news, and you don't have time to verify. You don't have time to really check again and again if this is really, really true. And before you know it, you are saying something that at the end of the day, you feel embarrassed that you've said it. You know, it happened to one of my friends. He just had that an important person is dead, and he wants to be the first person to break the news. And he went ahead and announced it, and it became a serious problem for him. It nearly cost him his job because he did not verify. And at the end of the day, the person was not dead. He was just rushed to the hospital. And before you know it, because he is a celebrity, he's a key person in the society, you know, the rumor is everywhere that he is dead. And you went ahead and announced because you want to break the news, you want to take credit. At the end of the day, is affecting your job. And so it's very important that we do the checks, we do the verification before anything, and not even your news. We should be able to verify other sources. And that is one of the things we're going to be getting on this training, how you can also verify other sources of news, and how you can also be able to report if the sources, if you've come to know after checking and verifying that it's misinformation. Before the end of this training, you get to know what you are supposed to do as a trained journalist here. Let's go to the next slide. Now, we're speaking about, you know, the narratives and the tools. One of the tools that are very key today is the social media, or the social tool. You know, there's an estimated about 80 million Nigerians online today. And you see, if you have about 80 million people online, then you know that you can't play with the online community. They are very key. A huge role in national debates, especially about politics. If you look at the recently concluded elections, you see that the social media, the social space played a vital role, positively and negatively. There are so many facts on the misinformation, disinformation, and malinformation. We have much of that on the social media during which we should be identify all this and be able to know what is true and what is not. Next slide, please. Okay, there are trends today in the media space. And the trends today in the media space, there are things that whenever you talk about them, you tend to have more people showing interest, more people wanting to be part of the conversation, more people wanting to hear about them. These are issues that affect the lives of people every day. These are people tend to have interest in. And these are issues like money, issues like, you know, health. Whenever people that have the tendencies of pushing fake information usually use all these trending elements to push out fake information because they know they have high tendencies of you know, followership. People now, for example, if you go to the social media now or any other news channel and you publish something about wealth, probably something about it. Before you know it, you have so many people following. People will want to know what you're saying. And before you know it, many people will be scammed at the end of the day. Many people will be scammed at the end of the day. You talk about politics, and people would like to follow you to hear about politics, to hear about what is the governor doing, to hear about what has the governor done. You know, people want to talk about uncertainty, you know, because of fear and anger. People want to hear about, you know, things that appeal to their emotions, you know, and all these things make it trend. It makes up the trend of time. Let's go to the next slide. All right, next slide here, we're talking about bots. We should be able to identify and know what is real on the social media space and what is not. You know, organizations and so many people today, you know, technology has gone so far, technology has grown so far that, you know, people now can build programs, softwares that manage platforms, that manage pages on social media, that manage, you know, blogs. And that's why you see some of the things you see on social media are automated. There is no human being sitting to control them. Robots do. And, you know, before you know it, you were thinking these are real humans controlling or giving the information. But they are not. You as a judge know if their page you are following, if it is being managed by a human or a robot. There are so many ways to do that, but one, the botometer, you know, is a software on the internet. You can check it after this training. Just write it down, botometer, B-O-T-O-M-E-T-E-R, botometer. You can use that to check if an account is a robot account or a real account. Once you open the botometer and you insert the, you know, the account in question, and you do a search, it would tell you if it is a human account. You can try that after the training. You can use that and start it by trying with your own account, any account, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You can use that to know if it is a real account or a robot account. Most on the social media are robot accounts. They are not managed by humans. They're managed by robots, and you see them growing with speed. You see them growing with speed. You see them having more followers. You see them doing more posts. And if you're not careful, you get carried away, and it might be that most of the things they are posting or they are publishing are fake. They are not really facts. Why do fake news trend? Why do fake news trend? Let's make this very part interactive. Why do fake news trend? I believe I'm talking to colleagues that are journalists, and we are authorities in our field. Let's talk about this. We'll hurry up because of what our chairman have said. Let's try to maximize time so that we finish up in good time. All right, sir, please go on.
Yeah. Well done, sir. Thank you so much for the time being.
Yeah.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yes, I said thank you. Well done for the. You know, looking at the society in general, people tend to believe in so much information they were able to gather. More so that they like to socialize more on the social media, believing that maybe something happening within a particular environment, another person being able to put off from that particular angle without necessarily going into the rudiments to verify the actual facts of those information. I think these are one of the reasons why people so much tend to believe in fake news.
All right, thank you very much, sir. Can we have another response, please?
Yes.
Why do fake news?
I have a contribution to make on that.
Okay.
Fake news trend for the first reason you mentioned in your opening speech, that people desire of many people on social media to be the first to break the news.
Yeah.
They don't have the patience to verify the source and if this information is real. Secondly, once the information aligns with our sentiment, be it religious, ethnic, or zonal, people, once you don't have that emotional discipline, immediately it aligns with your sentiment. People just picked it and begin to share quickly, as a form of defending their identity, their group, the group they belong to. Or this is what they are saying about my group. This is what's happening. People should be aware. And thirdly, I feel it's more personal about the orientation, the character of the person. Immediately you get any information in life, if you want to share it, the first question you're supposed to ask, for what purpose? What if I share this, what do I want it to achieve? People don't have that patience. It just immediately it comes, they share it, the character is not there to take time and verify and see that if I share this information, what is the purpose? Should I even share it? What is the information say? I think these are the three reasons I believe people, fake news trends a lot.
All right. Thank you very much. That was a very nice one. On the average, a false story, once a story is false, experts have it that it spreads quickly than factual stories. Fake news spread quickly than actual stories, and the tendency, human beings, we have this tendency of wanting news that appeal to us, just like the second speaker spoke about. People that spread fake news usually make it more emotional. Most fake news, you see them, they either be things that are amazing. A fake news will always have elements of amusement. You will see it will surprise you that the way they will present it will be so amusing, and it will be something new that you've not heard about, and now it's coming out, and before you know it, you want it to trend. I want you to take an example. Once, if you are on Facebook, most of us, I believe, are on Facebook. If you're scrolling down your timeline, you come across so many posts, but you only read and scroll, you reel and scroll. But when you come across a post that somebody posts that a young boy, a child was born today and he spoke today, before you know it, you want to share it. The next thing that will come to your mind after reading that, you've seen so many posts on your timeline, you've not shared any, but you just saw this, that, okay, one woman gave birth to a child, and immediately the child was given birth to, he said something. Immediately you want to read it. And immediately after reading it, you will not have time to verify or confirm. You want to share it. You want people to read it from your page, that yes, you've shared a story of a child that is talking. He was born, and on the day he was born, he spoke. And before you know it, you are sharing it without verifying, without fact checking it, you are sharing it. And those people that share fake news They know about all these things. And they try to share stories that are amusing, stories that appeal to you. And those of us that are media people, you know that generally in the media, as a journalist, you know, bad news is good news.
That is possible.
Yeah, it's an irony, but in the news, bad news is good news.
Yeah.
Example is, if a dog bites a man, it's not a news. Once you write on a, maybe you want to tell a story and you write, your headline is, a dog bites a man. Somebody may not read it. What's there? Dogs have been biting men for long. But once you wrote, maybe you write, a man bites a dog. That's a news. How can a man bite a dog? You know, it will appeal to the emotions of people. What's wrong? People want to read the story. What made the man, what made him bite a dog? You know, so bad news is good news. So now people that are good in spreading fake news or misinformation, they try to mix their stories with stories that appeal to emotions, stories that are interesting. And before you know it, the stories will be trending. More people would like to read the story. More people will want to know about the story. Just read this quote that is on our screen now, that if you don't read the newspapers, you are uninformed. And if you do read them, you are misinformed. You know, it's like a metaphor, it's a confusing statement. They say if you don't read the newspaper, you are uninformed. Yes, definitely you are not informed because you've not read. And if you read, you are misinformed. Yes, you are misinformed. That is to say, the information you got from the paper you read is not a fact. And once you get an information that is not a fact, you are misinformed. So if I'm to add to this, I would say, if you must read what you are sure of. Read, do your fact checking, verify to be sure that what you are reading, you're not being misinformed, but you are really getting information that is vital, that is authentic, that is legit. Let's go to the next slide.
Having our hands up.
Okay. Should we take this or should we continue first?
Let's
Mr.
finish
Chairman.
at the end of the presentation. We'll take all the questions.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay.
That brings us to misinformation versus disinformation. You know, these are two things that have similar elements, but they are quite different. You know, misinformation is sharing of false information that is not really intended to cause harm. The information is not really true, but the person that shared the information did not do it to cause harm. Maybe there was an error somewhere. This information can be wrong dates, wrong data. The person did not do his research well. Most of us, sometime in our profession, we become victims of this. You write a story or you write a report and you've not done your research well. And before you know it, you are misinforming people. You don't have the intention, really, of giving that fake or false data. But because you've not done your research well, you've not done your fact checking well, at the end of the day, you end up misinforming people. But disinformation has intent, is purposeful. The person doing this did it with the intent, with the purpose of, you know, misleading or harming. There is an intent to mislead or to harm or to cause harm. So now he fabricates, he changes the content. He did it intentionally to mislead, or to cause harm. That's the difference between misinformation and disinformation. With misinformation, it's also a false, there is false content, but with no intention. But with disinformation, there is intention to cause harm, there is intention to mislead. And when you go to malinformation.
Please, can you come again? I actually want you to elaborate more on the disinformation, misinformation. I need to be clear, please.
Okay. What I'm saying here is misinformation here is a passing information that has false data in it or incorrect data in it, but you did not do that with the intent to mislead. There is no intent, there is no, you didn't do that because you really wanted to mislead people. And I said, most of us have done that at the course of our career. For example, maybe you're writing a report or you're writing a story and you've not done your research very well. And your report or your story is carrying some information that are not really facts. But you did not put those informations there because you want to mislead somebody. But that does not change the fact that it is a misinformation because it is not true. It's not a fact. So that is misinformation. But disinformation is when you purposely disseminate false information with the intent you want to mislead. There is an intention. So you did it purposely, to mislead. That is when it becomes disinformation. I don't know if you understand it now. Thank you very much. And we'll go to the next slide. So many people out there are vulnerable to misinformation and disinformation. Sometimes we are also vulnerable to it because once we get information and we do not verify, we do not really check, we fall victims. And before you know it, at the end of the day, we become victims of this misinformation or victims of disinformation. And that is why it is very, very key and important that you verify or you check every information that you get. As journalists, sometimes we fall to the social media or the internet for information and for data. We should be able to check this information to be sure if these informations that we are getting from the internet, if they are really, really facts, if they are real stories the way they are. Yeah, sometimes we cannot condemn everything on the social media. And that is why this training is also key. We have content creators. If we have content creators that have positive mind of posting contents that are facts, contents that are real, contents that are true, then we don't have problem. And I believe there are creators like this on the internet, on the social media, that are posting contents that are really facts. We can fall into that and get information from that, but always be ready to check, always be ready to find out, always be ready to know, verify if your source is correct. And like I said earlier, before the end of this training, other speakers, other facilitators will talk to us about how we can check and how we can know that the information we're getting are facts, are really, really true. Let's go to the next slide. Solutions. Solutions. You know, here they say misinformation is not like a plumbing problem that you just fix. It is a social condition, like crime, that you must constantly monitor and adjust. You know, had it been crime can be fixed, I think by now our society would have been a crime-less society or a no-crime society, because crime fighting has been an issue for time immemorial, but we still have crime in the society. And that's the same, it also applies to misinformation. It is not like plumbing that you just say, okay, it has been fixed and that is all. No. And that is why this training is meant to be a continuous thing. We were trained, we train others, you are also to train others, others will also train others. It's a networking. And this is because misinformation is a social condition and it must be fixed. It must be constantly monitored. It must be constantly be in check. It must constantly be in check by all of us, by you and I, and by people that we'll be talking to. You know, we should be checking it every day. We should not just fold our arms and say, okay, now we've talked about misinformation and we believe that everybody will be saying the facts, everybody will be posting stories that are facts. No, it should be a continuous thing because it's a social condition. We should keep talking about it. We should keep, you know, preaching about it. And that is why we need to do the networking. Even after this training, talk to other people, talk to young professionals coming up, talk to them, people in your network. You know, we all have people in our network that we can talk to them about misinformation, talk to them about how we can counter misinformation, how we can fight misinformation in your space, in your little way. The potential ways of reducing vulnerabilities to disinformation. This is very key. This is one of the biggest solutions to it. Let's go to the next slide. Next slide. Fake news. Fake news. You know, as journalists, I believe we know how fake news are trending on the social media space, especially on the internet. You know, people are very, very interested in knowing what is happening around them. And others are taking advantage of that hunger that people have for information. For that hunger, that thirst that people have for information, other people are taking advantage of it. They're using platforms, you know, to flag fake news and to make it go viral. We should be able to identify fake news through our third-party fact-checking organizations. There are so many, you know, fact-checking apps and softwares on the internet where you can check to know if a particular news is fake or is a fact. You know, there are so many platforms like this. Let's try to identify them, like on Twitter, you know, like the bottometer we spoke about earlier. You can use bottometer to know if this very particular platform is real, it's a human managed platform, or is robotic. You know, you can, you know, engage with misleading tweets. Once you engage with a particular tweet and you get to know that the tweets are not fact, they are fake, you can engage with the tweet, you know, make them understand, whoever is managing the page, make him know that what you are posting is fake. And like we will be told in the course of the training, there are other ways to report. You can report these platforms that are bringing up fake news, report them. You know, you can go ahead and report them on the page, on the particular platform. If it is social, if it is Facebook, if it is Twitter, if it is Instagram, there are ways you report them. And by the time the report goes more and more, they can be blocked or other actions can be taken against them. So find a way of, do not keep quiet. Do not say it's none of my business. No, you don't know what that particular post, that particular fake news, you will not know what harm it will cause to the community or the society by you keeping quiet, you that knows the truth. If you keep quiet and it makes, it creates harm to your community, you will feel bad about it. But once you contribute in bringing it down, in telling the people in the community that this is a fake news, in telling the platform, in reporting that particular handle or that particular page to the platform, you are helping a lot in averting any danger that would have, come up because of this fake news, especially on issues of politics, issues of belief, and other issues that are very, very sensitive in our present Nigeria today. We should be able to be agent of change. And when people are posting things like this, we should be able to find a way of verifying and fact-checking and tell the platform that this is fake. Tell people around that this is fake. Let's go to the next slide. One of the ways with this, you share responsibly. I talked about sharing earlier. I said, maybe you go on a news page or you go on a social media page and you saw something that appealed to your emotions or to your interest. And the next thing is you just want to share. You want to talk about it. But what you're supposed to do here responsibly is, first of all, you stop, you reflect, and verify. That is the best way to share responsibly. You stop, you reflect, and verify. Don't just see anything and you just proceed sharing. No, but stop, reflect, check very well, verify, and if there is need for you to share, you share. Reflecting needs you to ask yourself so many questions. Must I share this? If I share this, what am I contributing to the society, to the media space? Does it have something to contribute to the media space, to the community at large? What agenda am I setting to my audience, to my community by sharing this or by posting this? Now, you also verify to know, is this content a fact? Is it really true? Before you even talk about sharing. So this is very important. You stop, you reflect, then you verify before you take any step. Once it to sharing any next. Verification. The next slide is verification, please. Yes, verification. Now, I was talking about verification. Verification is key. You start by verifying the source of the information. Is it from a reputable news outlet? Is it from the reputable government agency or the reputable academic institution? For example, now, elections. We all know that the only institution that is allowed to give the final result for every election is INEC. Now, if any other channel or any other source is giving a news about who wins an election or what is the result of an election, you should be able to now verify to know who is this? Is he the person saddled with the responsibility of saying that result? If he is not, then you should not take that on your platform. You should not take that on your news, because that very person that posted that is not saddled with the responsibility of saying what he said. Is it the government agency? Is it the academic institution that is supposed to say what he said? So verification is very important. Use fact-checking websites. You know, there are websites that are fact-checking websites, like, you know, factcheck.org, factcheck.org. You can Google factcheck.org, and, you know, you can fact-check the information you are having to know if it is a fact. We have other websites for fact-checking, like Quality Facts, you know, Quality Fact also, and Snopes. You can all use all these websites to check, you know, if the information is a fact. You can also check the date of the information. Sometimes people recycle information. People will take informations that were on the social media space or on the internet like 3 years back and recycle it. And if you are not careful, you will think it's a new happening, you think it's a new event, and you take it in your news, and before you know it, you are misleading people. Old information can resurface and be mistaken for current events. So always try to check dates. Always try to check dates of information to be sure if the information you are given is really a new information. Always try to check dates, especially if it's on social media, if it is reoccurring. If it is reoccurring, check the date. Is it a new post? If it is not a new post, then do not embarrass yourself by sharing or by copying, because it's an old story. You know, you can use reverse image search tool like Google Image or TinEye to check the origin of an image used in a story. You know, people these days, you know, will go ahead and use a picture that was taken somewhere to say it happened in Nigeria. Like during the EndSARS, we heard of, you know, most of the pictures that were used were not really taken at the venue of the EndSARS, you know, but with things like the Google Image, you know, tools like Google Images or TinEye, you can paste an image there, and it will tell you where this image was taken from. It will give you where this image is taken from. So you also be wary of you know, headlines that misrepresent story. You know, headlines today, people mislead people with headlines. So be sure of the headlines you are using. Check the author of the article. Are they credible journalists or experts? You know, we all know that, yes, there are people that are authorities in their field, that when you read their stories, you know, yes, these people are authority. They are credible. So check the author of the articles you are reading. Don't just copy articles. Don't just quote articles. Check who is the author of this article. Are they credible journalists or experts in their field? You know, verify the information with multiple sources. Use online archives and exhaust your verification, you know, outlets before you proceed, so that you will not be embarrassed at the end of it. Let's go to the next slide. And I think, you know, fact checking is also part of the verifying. You check your facts, and most of the things I need to say here, I've said it on the last slide. That's, you check your fact using all these online platforms like the Google and whatever to verify if the information that you are reading are facts. Let's go to the next slide. Next slide. All right. You know, this is another way of verifying. You know, is also on the internet. After the training, maybe you can go it Harmony Square. You know, it's like a game. It's free, an online game, and it helps you, you know, detect misinformation. It helps you know how to know what information is a fact and what information is a fake information. Let's go to the next slide. Next slide. That's the photo verification. Like I said earlier, you can come here and that you can paste, upload an image here, like you can see on the page. You can upload an image, and once you say browse, Google Images will tell you about this image. It will tell you where this image is coming from, the fact about this image. So you can also use this to know the fact about a particular image you find on the social media. If you are doubting its legitimacy, if you're doubting what they're saying, you can use the Google Images to verify the photos. Next slide. Still on video verification, you can use the YouTube data viewer. With the YouTube data viewer, you can, you know, verify a video. You can verify a video to know if this video is a fact, if it is concocted, or if it happens in a different environment and the person is making it look as if it happens here. You know, you get to know this with this website. So you can take advantage, leverage on all these websites, and, you know, do your fact checking, do your verification to be sure that the information, the photos, and the videos you are using are legit and they are true videos. Thank you very much. Let's go to the next, which will be questions. I think that's the end of my slide. We can take questions and even contributions, because I can see we have senior colleagues here. I can see senior colleagues here who have contributions. We can also have questions. Thank you very much for your time, please.
Thank you very much for that wonderful presentation, sir. Lots of hands are up, but I have to be biased and yield the floor to our own chairman. Alhaji Jibril, you have the floor, sir.
Thank you very much, the last facilitator. Thank you so much for being wonderful. I think I sit back and do a lot of learning too, because that was what I facilitated on this morning. So I think for some places I have not been able to cover, I think I have seen it and I'm going to work on it. Thank you so much. Yeah, my take here is just like I wanted to ask this question or observe something when you said, why do fake news trend? I want us to look at this. Within the week, I had a news that because of this fake news all around and the unchecked activities of maybe writers, bloggers, and the rest of it, the Broadcasting Corporation is intending to have a media council committee. I don't know whether we're aware of that, and that should equally give us the Nigerian Broadcasting Code. So they are looking for self-independence, which will make it a self-regulatory body. So if news like this is before us, definitely now we should be able to sit back proper now to be able to watch our back, because sooner than later, whatever content we are dosing out will have to be checked, and it will be balanced by the corporation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Beatrice Gaga, you have the floor, please. You're muted if you are talking, madam. Madam Beatrice, your hand is up. Please unmute yourself and speak to us.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, good evening. My name is Beatrice Gagari Adamawa from Kaduna State. All right, thank you, facilitator, for pouring out your bank of knowledge. But I want to ask a question. Recently, I had an issue regarding the CBN case that the date that was the deadline for people to deposit their money in their banks. I was at CBN here in Kaduna. I went to cover that story. While I was in front of CBN, a bank official came out with what phone do I call it? Came out with a public announcement system, and he announced that those that had 500,000 below should go back to their banks and deposit. Then those that had 500,000 and above should wait at the CBN. In fact, when I started covering that story, when the announcement came, it changed my thoughts of story. But unfortunately for me, when I went back to the office and wrote that story, then there was a circular from CBN saying that they did not make such an announcement. So my question now is, did I carry fake news? If you ask, I would say it wasn't a fake news. But why would the CBN now say they didn't make such an announcement? I was the only journalist that was there that covered that story. So it now looked like I was misinforming people. You know, my director had to call me and she was asking, Beatrice, are you sure I said I was there, I heard it. In fact, I was not the only one. Like I had the clips of people rejoicing when they made that announcement that people should go back to their banks and make the deposit for the lesser money. So now my question is, since we're talking about fake news and misinformation, because it now look like I misinformed people. So by the time you find yourself in that kind of position, what do you do? Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. You know, this is one of the things journalists on the field face every day. But I think your own case have clips to when that announcement was made. So I believe that maybe perhaps you also have clip of the bank official making that announcement. I think that should vindicate you if you have that clip, because you know, as journalists, what we give out is not our own, is what we get from the same people we're giving out the news to. We fetch our news from the people and we give it back to the people. That's what we do. So now, I think had it been you have a recorded copy of the announcement, I think you will comfortably go back to your newsroom and tell your news director that you want to still do a rejoinder that this is what the CBN said earlier, and this is the announcement. Though this is what they are saying now, but this is the announcement they made earlier, just to make it clear that you did not just concord the information from wherever it is. But having said that, I also want to say that, fine, even if it is a misinformation, remember, like we said earlier, it has no intention of misleading. It is done with a clear mind, trying to do your job. You were trying to do your job, and your job is to disseminate information. But even at that, it is not your own fault. It is not that you've not done your research. It is not that you've not done your findings. It is that because the CBN are trying to correct their own error, and now you are now becoming a victim. And it happens to us every day on the field. So I think, my dear, you should not feel bad about that, Ma. But, you know, sometimes in the field, we should try to have a record of everything we need, if possible, so that we can use that as evidence sometimes when
Okay. We have Mr. Rex Ndubisi's hand up. Please, sir, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, moderator and the facilitator. Yes, I was still want to, news is being handed to us to intimidate, to at times to inhibit. For instance, the CBN scenario, that one is to, they want to use it to stage manage the populace, because the way that they're managing the cash crisis does not augur well with the the information as one who is trying to mislead people. So I see it as a weapon of propaganda, and also a weapon of self-defense, self-egoism. So that is my take on the fake information and the use. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that input. Okay, let me visit the chat. Okay, we have appreciations and appreciations for our facilitator. Okay, sir, thank you for that presentation. Having exhausted the questions, please let me quickly advise that if you are yet to fill the form, the pre-workshop form, kindly do so, because we shall soon be sending the post-evaluation form. This segment of the training have just 2 presentations, and we're about entering the last presentation. At this juncture, I want to invite Mr. Ahmed Magam to take the next lecture on identifying, investigating, and reporting misinformation. Mr. Ahmed, please introduce yourself to the house while I call up your material. Thank you very much. Hello? Do we have Mr. Ahmed Magam with us? I saw him earlier. So if you are talking, you're muted. You have the floor, sir.
I'm here quite all right.
Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon,
sir. It's really nice being here with all of you. So can you all hear me?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear.
I hear you.
Okay. All right. My name is Dr. Ahmed Magam. Peace Ambassador, as well as the Chief Executive Officer of Springfield Center for Peace and Humanitarian Development. I'm also a proud US IVLP alumni, specifically on the area of countering violent extremism. It is my great pleasure today to be facilitating you on this training on identifying, investigating, and reporting misinformation. So please, I will indulge us to kindly follow as I take us through this period, which promises to be an interesting one. Next slide, please. So as it is, I'm also using my own laptop here. So that first one, the landscape of misinformation in Nigeria, where we'll look at understanding how misinformation has been going on right here in Nigeria. And then next, we'll look out on how to protect against identity, how to protect against and identify misinformation. Next, we have how to report misinformation. And then we'll be looking at the fourth one there, how to protect yourself if you are targeted by misinformation networks. And we'll get to understand what types those are. So the first one there in our first section is landscape of misinformation in Nigeria. So in the agenda, what constitutes misinformation? The next one is most common types of misinformation, and then how misinformation is harming Nigerian society. So the first one we look at earlier on in the first session that we had, like the one we had in the morning on for content creators, a lot of people were asking different questions. Now let's take a very good look at what we have there on our screen. Misinformation. Misinformation is simply false information, information that isn't true, that was created deliberately. We'll look more in depth into that. And then we have disinformation. Now, disinformation is false information deliberately spread to deceive others. Now you can see that misinformation is just false, but disinformation is taking false information and deliberately spreading to deceive others. And then we have fake news. Fake news is false information that imitates news content in form. You will notice that, for example, there is a newspaper that is called Al Jazeera with an E. But then there is another newspaper in Nigeria that is also called Al Jazeera with an I. And so what do we call that now? It's very easy to understand that the first one is actually a fake one. So look at this image on your screen. Misinformation. You can see Nigerian President Muhammadu Buhari dies in London. What is that? That is false information automatically. You can see, and again, Metro is what? Metro is a newspaper that is recognized in the UK. But then if you look at it very, very well and you do your other research, you will find that this media outfit is actually not the Metro. It was a photoshopped logo that was placed on this fake news item, as well as the headline that is there. Then when you look at the disinformation, which says election update. Now, most times, one of the things you look at, you see election update there, as well as you see breaking news. The moment you see anything like that, that is calling attention with exclamation mark, that should raise your attention that, okay, there is probably something wrong here. Now, if you look at this disinformation, you see that it is false information that is actually being spread to others. And that's a very bad one. So then on the other one, you see the third one there, Nigerian governor sacked over dancing. And who is the Nigerian governor that we know is the dancing governor? We know Governor Adeleke. But then was he sacked over dancing? No, he was never sacked over dancing. And that's fake news. Let's move on. Next slide. Okay, so misinformation in Nigeria. Nigeria is seeing a rapid rise in the spread of harmful narratives. Recent elections saw a surge in political false narratives targeting various audiences across the country. We've seen how some false messages were targeted against Christians. some were targeted against Muslims, using religion and ethnicity now, our major fault lines, as as an avenue to win elections. So a lot of things that are coming are usually now predicated on false information, on fake news. So now using false information, it may appear new, it may appear true, but in the real sense, it is fake. It is not true. So another example you look at again, during the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020, which was accompanied by a surge in health-related misinformation and fake news. There was a time when you heard that some people say that if you want to fight Ebola, the only way to go about it is to bath with so many lot of health problems. And what was that? That was fake news against Ebola. How to deal with Ebola was a simple process of just doing what? Washing your hands. But then fake news spread very fast. And that is one of the reasons where we keep having lots of problems. Now, the third one there, the spread of online misinformation in Nigeria poses a serious risk to social cohesion, public health, and human security. Talking about human security, there was a time there was a crisis in Jos. That was, I think, around 2012. That Jos crisis, actually started by no other person but some fake news peddlers. They just created this news, and then before you know it, within 1 hour, the story has gone round. By the time it will be discovered to be fake news, over 100 people already had lost their lives in the city of Jos. And that's one of the things that we need to take very serious on, how to know to curb all these problems and issues, and then we'll be able to have proper information. I will look at it in the future slides. Now, when you look at this, these are the old enemies. Now, in the past, when you want to fight any war or you want to fight any crisis, it's very simple. The place is you go is either you go to the field, to the battlefield, and use your swords and guns and fight each other, or you go to the regular traditional newspapers. But then this is the old way of fighting. Now, the next slide will show you the new way, that the new battleground of fighting. Let's go to the next slide. Now, the new battlefield, what are we dealing with here? We are looking at 2.7 billion people using different mobile devices across the world. You can imagine that we are looking at, in Nigeria alone, over 250 million humans, and then we are looking at even more than more than a billion mobile devices or technology, that whatever that we are using in our houses. So many homes. Some homes are now smart homes. Some people already have lots of gadgets. For example, my own home is a smart home where I have different gadgets, especially my Alexa and Google that I use. And then having information moving in different way comes readily handy. Some informations are things that I want, some are things that I do not want, some are things that I need to protect my family against, because there is this surge of information that comes on the per second billing to different people across Nigeria. Now, when you look at the middle image there, you can see, what is it? 81%. 81% of what? Meaning all the social networks you are seeing there, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Twitter, Flickr, Skype, Vimeo, whatever it is, especially the major ones that we know, which is our TikTok, our Instagram, our Facebook, and Twitter. These are the places where majority of our people go to get their news source. And then, which are the highest? Your Twitter and Facebook becomes the highest. And that is where the major battlefield is. And then it means it's a place where you need to also take care of your mind against having lots of problems. Now, on average, you will notice that the lowest time most people spend on their mobile phones is 3.6 hours. People will be in conference, they are on their phones. They will be in churches, they are on their phones. They will be in the mosque, you see them on their phones. And then you can imagine that we spend, out of 24 hours, we spend at least 8 hours daily on our mobile phones. Even at night when we wake up, in the morning, the first thing we reach out for are usually our phones. Let's move to the next slide. Now, what are the most common types of misinformation? There are three, what we call the three-headed beast. And this three-headed beast, we need to understand it properly, understand it very well so that we'll be able to find a way to behead this three-headed beast. If we look at the book of Revelation, where it spoke about the dragon or the Babylon the Great. If we want to kill our own dragon or annihilate the great Babylon, then this is what we are looking at. The first one is decontextualizing. Decontextualizing. And the second one is spoofing. The third one is scapegoating. These are very important. Let's move on. So now, what is decontextualizing? Decontextualizing is, in simple terms, just means truth taken out of context. A lot of times you have instances where you speak with people and then somebody may say something in a different context, but then you now pick your own understanding of it or deliberately change the context of what that person is doing. So what are the common features as explained? It said sharing of news articles published in the past, but pretending they are from the present. You saw that happen in the last election. And you also saw that used especially in the 2015 election. During the 2015 election, this period was the worst. Then we have cropping of images to distort the true meaning. We have seen a lot of people crop images whereby, for example, there was a fire outbreak that killed people in Uganda, in Tanzania. It was a tanker that busted and a lot of people were killed. And then some people in Nigeria took those pictures and started spreading it in Nigeria that those were Fulani that attacked a village. And then some of us decided to do a reverse image search to find out the truth. And in the process of doing our image search, that thing was actually a tanker explosion in a village in Tanzania. And yet this thing was spread in Nigeria. So we were able to do what is called countering, the proper measure of countering this sort of decontextualization and misinformation, putting out the real truth out there. And then that gave room for another fact-checking platform on WhatsApp, which we use anytime any story comes. We use that place to bring out proper messages and then push it out through various mediums of communication. Now, if you look at the third, no, let's go back there. Let's go back there. So now, if you look at this other source, which says sharing a video from one location, but claiming it was filmed in another. This same thing also goes along with what I explained earlier. We've seen so many videos that are shared, and even during the Boko Haram period, there are things that happen in faraway Gabon, and it was totally unrelated to Nigeria. So many videos of killings, but because there was no timestamp on those videos, unfortunately, which all your mobile phones that you have in your hand, have what is called the MAC address. All the mobile phones you are using, all your computers, all of them have an address. So if I ask you to write something now or do a video and send a video to me, even if you send it maybe to Alajidan Tata Indus or to Dr. Pietro, and then even though you are the author, but you send it to Dr. Pietro to forward to me. If Dr. Pietro forwards it to me, I will know that it is not Dr. Pietro that is the author. I'll be able to use my research methodology to be able to get who the original author is of that story. And those are things we'll also be learning in moving forward. Next slide. So decontextualizing means sharing of news articles published in the past, but pretending they are from the present, like I explained on the Boko Haram issue. The next one says cropping of images to distort the true meaning. You could see President Goodluck Jonathan there in a good session with President-elect Bola Tinubu. Now, the headline there says, Jonathan meets Tinubu in Abuja residence as ECOWAS election monitoring team visits top candidates. Now, if you look at it very well, the first image, even without anybody saying anything, you may not know. You may think that he's celebrating with him. But then, what is the real story? The real story is there on the right. So, just by cropping this picture on the left and posting it, it will give you different mindset or different thoughts. And that is what the author of cropping that first image is looking for. He wants different mind, and probably that will spur you to go and write something negative and then push and then hit up the polity. The next one. If you look at the next one again, you see taking images from one region and setting and claiming they are from another to suit a false narrative. Now, the first one image there tells us this is the All Nigerian Catholic Conference marching in support of the NSAS protest. What is your excuse? Lend your voice to end police brutality and end governance in Nigeria. But then, has anybody taken time to look at the banners that are being carried there? Did anybody do any research? So what did he say? He says, the second slide there, and the second image there is telling us, he said, Catholic faithful led by Bishop marched during a protest over unending killings of Nigeria in Abuja. You can see the real story is the one on the right, but the one on the left is the contextualized image. The person cropped the image, removed the image from the real story, and brought a false narrative on in the story on the left. So how do they mean that bishops are now part of the NSAS? So if you see this, any other person that sees that will now think, okay, since Catholic bishops are gathering and demonstrating for NSAS, and that means it will now justify the person's participation in any sort of protest, or especially during the NSAS protest. So this is just one of the examples of the various things that do. Another way again is sharing a video from one location, but claiming it was filmed in another. Like I explained to you earlier on about the fire incident in Tanzania. Now you can see this the image on the left, which is false, says Nigerian police officer stomping man's head. Now, to the layperson, the person will look at that image, seeing a blue uniform on a black trouser. That means that is Nigerian police uniform. We know one of the Nigerian police uniforms. Then it is also one of the uniforms almost looking like the uniform of police in South Africa, right? But then the picture on the left is actually false, and the real story is there on your right, which says National Police Service Kenya, that the police officer captured on a video clip assaulting an individual has been positively identified and is being processed for disciplinary action. This is Kenyan police, and that story that happened in Kenya, not in Nigeria. So what these people did in the contextualization is taking a story and a picture that happened in Kenya, but bringing the picture into Nigeria to put something. And these are part of the things they do to cause real havoc in Nigeria, because once you put something in the mindset of people, it will now cause lots of problems. Now, looking at the next one there, which we call spoofing. Spoofing is to imitate the look and feel of reliable news sources. What are the common features? Use of names and logos designed to be similar to reliable news source. Or there's also the use of words like breaking news. Remember I told you earlier on that you see they say breaking news, or you see alert, or you see important, usually putting exclamation mark in the headline, usually to draw attention. You see a lot of this on WhatsApp, you see it on Facebook, and then you see some of them on Twitter, even though Twitter gave only opportunity for 144 characters now, which has even gone beyond that. Then if you look at the article layout that looks like reliable news source. Now this is very important because a lot of websites now are created using the WordPress platform, and then there are so many themes or templates that are news templates. Anyone can just go on there and claim to to be a news source. For example, we have news sources. We have Igbere TV. We have one that says it's iReporter. We have Oasis Reporters. Different news mediums that have come that are not traditional news medium. They are now out there coming out. Now, there is something that is not here that is called phishing. Phishing, again, is you see some websites, for example, a bank like GT Bank. You see a website looking exactly like GT Bank website, but it is not GT Bank website. It is a phishing website. It is when they will send a message to you, you go and make a mistake, thinking it's a website, it's your bank website. You enter your login information as well as your password, and before you know, you no longer have access to your account, and those people have taken over your account. And then, so that is phishing. And this one that we are looking at in the area of media is what is called spoofing. So you'll be able to know the difference between phishing and then spoofing. Now, if you look at this headline there, spoofing, we said it uses names and logos designed to be similar to reliable news sources. Look at this, what you are seeing. You see News 24, and the other one, Financial Times. Financial Times is a very popular news item, a newspaper outfit over there in America. News 24 is also there. If you are on DSTV package, you'll be able to see News 24. But then look at the news. UK Prime Minister reacts heavily, alleges rigging by INEC, calls for cancellation. Really? Do you believe that? Even seeing this? But for the gullible person, it was by saying News 24, he will believe that this is a reliable news source and wants to now begin to fight, and also he will be using this headline that you are seeing to argue even on WhatsApp platform and on Facebook. And you see this kind of people every day bringing these things as evidence of or proof of to back up their argument. But then these are just fake. Another one again, if you look at it there, you see this person uses breaking news or use the word alert. Like I said earlier on, some then use breaking news, alert, or they say important, and some other information that to draw your attention. Now look at this fake news. You see this template that you are seeing, having breaking news, also receive fake alert from federal government. There are apps that can create all this for you. And these people that are doing all these things, they are aware of all this. They are aware and targeting the mass population of Nigerians for deception. And these things are things that they do deliberately to cause problem in the politics. So if you look at it, you see breaking news. It is not for you to just go on ahead and just believe whatever they are saying or whatever they are doing. From henceforth, from as long as you have been part of this workshop now, you should now be a proper professional that will be part of the group that fights fake news and disinformation and misinformation out there. Now look at this article layout. This article layout looks like a reliable news source. But the two Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay. Now look at the left. The one on your, okay, thank you. The one on your left, you can't be able to see if it is fake or if it is real. What is the reason? There is no address there. But then if you look at the one on your right, if you look in very well, you will see bbc.com-latest-news.xyz. Now, to the layperson will look at bbc.com and just believe it, right? But that is fake. The only thing that you will know to be true is whatever you see the last XYZ, that is where you will know that this website is fake. Because of what? If it is true that it is bbc.com, it is supposed to be the last letter there should be bbc.com. But this one is telling you bbc.com/related, all that is lies. The last 3 digits that you get, or the last 2 digits, are usually what gives you if it is true. And then there's usually the padlock key for you to know if it is a secured website. So for this now, you'll be able to by looking at this image, even though the website body tells you is BBC, but then this isn't BBC, but rather this is a spoofing website. If it is for the financial information side, we'll call it a phishing website, which is fake website made to look like real. Let's move to the next. Now, this one is one that affects majority of us as individuals. Also, a lot of journalists fall victim in this area. Now, this scapegoating is holding individuals or groups responsible for adverse events, real or imaginary, in order to fuel hatred towards certain groups of people. For example, we saw the story of the phone call between Bishop Oyedepo and presidential candidate Peter Obi on the phone call that they made. Now, the people that brought that story out, that brought that thing out, were actually going for what we call scapegoating. Who do they want to scapegoat? Two things. They want to scapegoat Peter Obi. They want to scapegoat the bishop himself, and by and large, the Christian population. And this is a very negative thing that we have to be very careful. Now, these things are done with individuals on social media, where somebody they will just pick on someone and then start pushing different narratives, different negative stories against that person. And this has led so many people to even committing suicide, because when they see that they can't fight the population, they feel so dejected and then end up killing themselves. Now, you can see this image, Nnamdi Kanu with Ojukwu. Now, a lot of times we've seen even himself, Nnamdi Kanu, being a master in scapegoating people during his campaigns, and then he has done this to different Igbo people that doesn't align to what he wants. He has also done it to different religious leaders that are of Yoruba origin, like when he was insulting Igbos that any Igbo that is going to any Yoruba church is an imbecile, and so on and so forth. You see, this is scapegoating. It's guilt tripping people, making them feel guilty of different things. So he has done this not only to the Nigerian government, he has done this to Northerners, he has done this to the Yoruba, and he has done this even to many Igbo people, making them feel guilty if they don't buy into his narratives. Let's move on. Now, in our section 2, we want to look at how to protect against and identify misinformation. Our agenda, we are looking at investigating fake accounts, detecting misinformation in open networks, detecting misinformation in closed networks, and lastly, cursory checks for misinformation. So, bots versus cyborgs versus trolls. This is very important, and I would like us to have a good understanding of this. What are bots? Bots are fully automated accounts on social media. For example, in my organization, we have what we call frequently asked questions, which is called FAQs. Now, if you go to the website, because a lot of people usually come to ask so many questions, what do? Instead of always repeating questions, giving people answer, we have created a body of knowledge, a body of information, which we have put over there, creating our bot. So if you visit the website, there is a bot there that will automatically answer you. And some banks, some Nigerian banks are doing it. Some aspects of some international websites are doing it. Some embassies and so on and so forth have bots. A lot of bots are being used on WhatsApp today. Like if you want to even renew your DSTV subscription, you can do it on using a bot. Your MTN or your mobile phone network, they also have bots. Bots are also highly used on Telegram. Yes, it's being used on Telegram today, and a lot of people use it also on Twitter and on Facebook. Now, on the other side, what is cyborg? Cyborg is human-controlled account that uses bot technology to tweet faster and more often. So a lot of times you see some accounts on Twitter. When you look at them, you will know that these things are not human. It is just bots that were created, and that's why a lot of times when you want to log into some accounts, the account will ask you that if you are a real human, why not? It will ask you some questions, and those questions are questions that bots cannot see them and answer. Instead, it is human that can see those kind of questions and answer them. So those are what we call cyborg. It is controlled by human accounts somewhere, and this is done faster. I use some of cyborg in my retweets, and I'll give some examples later. Now, troll. Troll are human-operated accounts spreading propaganda and or harassing a target group. Most times, in the last elections or previously, you see a lot of times some political parties gather young people in some houses or in some halls and give them mobile phones, and then give their phones, put maybe 5,000 naira data for them with mobile tablets. And then one person who is leading that group of trolls will now send one message. And before you know it, you see like 300 people have retweeted that same message and shared the message. You think, oh, this person is getting popular. No, it is actually a group of people that were sitting in one place. And I know a few political parties that did this. And because some of them, we know exactly where they gathered people. Like some gathered some people in Maitama, and they were doing it. Some gathered some people over there at Guarimpa in a house, and having more than 50 young people sharing different fake informations. So how do you recognize this? What are the red flags for identifying bots, cyborgs, and trolls? It's very easy. First, you see lack of profile picture. The accounts usually, if it is on Twitter, on Facebook, doesn't have a picture. You will not see it there. They are mostly all the page does is just to retweet. Then again, you see some, for example, up to Twitter now. Twitter will generate generated. It is now up to you to create a proper, to edit that username and put. So if it is human, once you see the username has numbers and all those things, obviously that is a sign of an auto-generated, and that's a bot. Next slide. You aggressive nationalist language. If you see these people showing themselves as overly patriotic symbols and pictures, you see like the Arewa must rise, the Biafra and the Oduduwa Republic. If you follow these handles or these pages on Facebook or on social media, you see the aggression in the kind of messages that they push. Like they will be showing you as if war wants to break out now, as if there is this huge hatred that is out there against, as if people are coming for you immediately. These are all signs. They are very easy to know. Once you see them, their messages are usually toxic and very aggressive and offensive. Next. Now, earlier on, we've been talking about botometer. How do you know if how to detect all these kind of accounts? It's very easy. You can visit botometer.org to see if an account is likely a bot or not. Now, only 80% accurate is this botometer, but it is good for some quick assessment, meaning since it is 80%, probably what you are trying to do could be, 20% is a huge number. So you still need to do other measures to know if this account that you're checking is fake or not. So you can see this first step there, which is visit botometer.org. And the second step, that is if you are using Twitter, the second step is you authorize the account on your Twitter app, and then you now click to check the user. For example, if it is Mr. Petro there, which is his username is there, you can check if he is a real human being. You'll be able to see the score given. You can see the score there gives you 3.9/5, which means is a real human being. So, an activity for us to do. Visit botometer. I would like us to do this right now, wherever you are. While I'm talking, you can be checking it out. Now, visit botometer.org and assess the following accounts. The first account you check is Priyank S. Mathur. You can see the name there. And the next one is at Ahmed Musa. And then the third one is at Olamide. I'm going to ask you at the end of it if you've been able to verify if these accounts are real human accounts or if they are fake. I guess we've gotten this. Even if you don't get the 3, you can just check 1 or 2 of it.
Okay, let me quickly add that these are Twitter accounts, not Instagram or another thing.
Yes, Twitter account. Thank you. So now the next one that we have there, we have open versus closed versus hybrid networks. Now, what are open networks? They are very simple. These are public networks. For example, our YouTube is an open, is a public open network. Twitter is one, Instagram is one, TikTok is one, as well as the almighty Facebook. Then what are closed network? These are also subgroups within the network. Example of this, we have Telegram, we have WhatsApp, we have Signal, and other new ones that are also coming up. So what are hybrid networks? We have mix of public and private posts. And for example, Facebook gives you opportunity for you to do public posting, or it also gives you Messenger, which you can go within inside and talk. Same thing also applies to Instagram. So you can see that they have both public and private, which makes them hybrid. Now, detecting misinformation in open networks. Shared account characteristics, shared profile descriptors, profile pictures, and created at dates. Sometimes, how do you know if an account is fake? It is usually the date. Somebody may post something maybe in 2012, and another person will now go and crop the information and now send it to you and make it look like it is just happening right now. But for a discerning mind, you will check the body of the message very, very well for some telltale signs. Number one, what do you look at? You look at the date that thing was published. If it was published in 2012, then it is not relevant in 2023. If it was published in 2021 or 2022, it is not relevant in 2023 and should not be made to look like it is recent. Again, there is the other one, which is shared content. Same set of source accounts, same narratives. And now this one is a good example that I'm going to give you. There is a political party in 2015 that gathered people at Maitama. More than 50 young men and women were gathered in that building, being led by one popular former minister. And then they shared, there was a table. On that table contained over 500 different mobile phones, mobile devices, attached to only one mobile device. At that moment, these people will send one message. The moment they send one message, all the 500 plus accounts, plus the young men across Nigeria that are following this political party, that are members of this political party, they will get this message and start sharing. And then you see the message start trending on social media. The moment it starts trending, you that you are a layperson, you will begin to think that, oh, this message is trending. Oh, that means the message is important, and so on and so forth. Then you now start falling. Then that means you have fallen victim. You have been had. So it is just for you to be able to know how that some of these things are actually being controlled by people, and it's not that they are really trending. Next. So now look at this now. This is a name. I know some of us cannot understand Arabic, but you can see in the first slide on the left, which has the Palestinian flag as well as the Saudi Arabian flag over a military uniform. You see, it's saying Kana. That's the name he's putting there. Kana Hani bin. This is an Arabic name. But if you look at the username there, look at the picture, look at the username there. It's a different username. Now come to the middle one. It's a different name there that is there with a different username. Look at the third frame. It's still the same picture, but different username. Are you seeing something? Now, remember we said that sometimes you will see numbers attached to the usernames. Now, when you look at this, the first one you may not think it to be a bot or a fake account, but if you look at all this, it is just one person that is operating the whole of this account. On the next slide, you also see how you'll be able to detect something. Now, on the next slide, we said shared content, same set of source accounts, the same text and narration. Now, if you look at this, at Halgawi, right? And the second one at Halgawi. Now, look at the person that shared. Adel Omar retweeted. Then, in Arabic, the one on the left is Abu Adel. Are you seeing it? In Arabic, so if you don't know, if you cannot read Arabic, you will not be carried away and thinking that these are two different accounts. No, they are not two different accounts. They're actually the same and one account operated by one person. Next slide. Now, how to detect misinformation in closed networks? The first one is you have to establish a tip line. Highlight anonymity. Sometimes most of the people that do the anonymous, right? Now, for you as a person, you have to act anonymous also. If you see any message, ask the person to give you proof. For example, you want to see the screenshots of the real thing. And I'm going to explain what we did to one popular Nigerian. I'll mention him. Now, the third one is look for signs of manipulation of screenshots. Refer to common features for the contextualization. I will explain this to you. Now, you have to join the group as an anonymous observer. Ethical and safety concern. If asked your identity, don't lie. Just leave the group. Now, let me explain this. In 2015, during the presidential election period.
Please, I don't mention them. This train is recorded, though.
Yes. So, in 2015, during the presidential election period, somebody sent, we were on Twitter, and then we noticed a message was sent out whereby a fictitious name called Wendell Simlin was used. And then some of us were suspicious. We said Wendell Simlin doesn't sound like a Nigerian name. But then let us find out who the true owner of that message is. So I asked some of my journalist friends, I said, if you get the message sent to your media house, can you please just forward the message to my email? And the message was in what format? And it was forwarded to me. So I took the account and did my own research to find out the MAC address of that phone. And lo and behold, the MAC address brought out the name of a very popular social media influencer. Like I said, I won't mention his name, but at least by the time we brought that out, I went on Twitter and gave his real name with his message, and I started laughing. Before he knew, I think he was sleeping. By the time he woke up, he has seen more than 500 retweets and people challenging him. The next thing, the man blocked me. Till today, he has not unblocked me on Twitter. But then we have brought out countering his own misinformation out there, which was aimed then at the president elect. So next slide. Now, cursory open source checks, misinformation SOX method. That is misinformation SUCS method. When time is limited, follow 4 steps. 1, source. You have to get the source. What do you mean by the source? You have to find out the credibility of that information. So by knowing the source, you will be able to know if the message is credible. Now, there is issue of ubiquity. Is the same information available elsewhere? Can you find information elsewhere? Sometimes when you see a message come out, like what I normally do, if any new message comes out or I hear of any news, if I'm not sure, I normally give it 4 days before I'm able to know, because no matter how the story is, if you allow it 4 days, you'll be able to know if it is fake or if it is true. Another method that I use again, I use what the Rotary Club called the 4-way test, and I will explain the 4-way test to us in the next 2 slides. Now, the third one there on the screen is context. If we talk about context, we are talking about the date And then you check for signs of editing. By signs of editing is you check for photoshopping. You know, when people do photoshopping and all that, you will see some little telltale errors of being different from the original. And then the second option that you can do, you can follow fact-checking websites. For example, the africacheck.org, and then also the Fact Check Hub. In fact, for us that are here, henceforth, this platform that we are, we can even turn it to become a fact-checking platform, whereby whatever misinformation or any information we find anywhere, we can send it into our various platforms. Then some of us will do the right research and bring out the truth of the matter. But then this website you are seeing as an example are good places that you can do. Another one you can do is there's something called reverse search image. There's something called the Tiny Eye, which is a website which we use in doing reverse search. Now, your Google itself is a very powerful tool for doing reverse search. You can do reverse search of any image, you can do of video, you can do of any story. And how do you do it? You go on Google and upload any image to that site, to Google. Once you upload to Google will bring out if there is any variant or any other place where that information has been posted. You will see. You even see the first person to post that picture. So if somebody is telling you that the picture was posted in Gusau in Zamfara or somewhere in Gombe, and they say it's 2023, once you do a reverse search image, you probably may find out that that thing actually happened in somewhere in Tamil Nadu in India, and so. Next slide. So our tutorial, fact-checking website, short tutorial on using a fact-checking website. First, all we need to do is we do a reverse search image, right? And then the images, you go to images.google.com. You upload an image. Then you check to see where that image appears on the internet. Now, check, you will see a lot of pictures. Now, because of time, we will not do this right now. But what I want us to do is we take this part. I'm going to even screenshot this part and send it to us on the WhatsApp group. This one will be a takeaway assignment for us, because as soon as we are done with this, we have not ended. We will not want. I wouldn't want us to just exit the group like that. Let us just remain as a community and continue working because this is a continuous work in progress. You'll be able to see other images of where that particular image that you are creating is coming from, and that should tell you the real source, the original source, and the other fake source. You know, in this day and age, there's a lot of plagiarism. There's a lot of people stealing information from different places and claiming it to be their own. This is one of the sources where you can get. Let's move to section 3. Now, in section 3, you want to look at how to report and write about misinformation. In the agenda, we have 2. We'll be looking at mechanics of reporting on various platforms. And we also want to look at ethics of writing about misinformation. Number 1, how to report posts. Now, if you look at this, all the platforms you are looking at here, the first one you are looking at, you will see the 3 dots. You can see where it is pointed on the right. Those 3 dots, always click it. When you click it, it will open for you, and you will see the second step there, which says report. And then that will now, when it opens on the test step, you see the last one there, which says false information. And then the 4th one will show either you block the person or don't know lives it could say. For example, if somebody had been able to flag the first story in Jos as being, I am sure over 100 people that died in would have been alive with us today. And that should tell you the importance. Now, Now, this is how to report on Facebook. For Facebook, again, it's still the same process. You see the three dots there. When you click on it, you scroll down to the last there, you see report post. And then you see different ways. Now, this part is very important. If the image you are seeing has to do with nudity, you have to report it. If it is of violence or anything, you have to report it. If it is harassment, or if it is suicide or self-injury, you have to report it. If it is false information, you do that. If it is spam, you do that. If it is unauthorized sales or hate speech, for example, a lot of time we have reported a lot of hate speech, false information, terrorism, and this is the reason why Facebook jail. It is because some people have reported the messages that they are sharing, and that has made Facebook to be a little sane from the kind of hate messages we used to see before. And you remember that in the past, a lot of terrorists have recruited many of their members right from social media, especially on Twitter and Facebook. We've seen how ISIS recruited people. We've seen how also Boko Haram in Nigeria here recruited so many people via Facebook. Next slide. Now, this is also the process of reporting on Twitter. It's virtually almost the same process. If you just follow it, you'll be able to follow this process very well. Now, if you look at YouTube again, YouTube also is the same process. It's very easy. By now, we should all know how to report that. Once you see the message, if it doesn't look true, if it doesn't sound truthful enough, then that means it is fake, it is hate, whatever it is that you know is ethically or morally wrong. Then, as well as journalists or media people, please endeavor to be patriotic enough and if humanist enough to report such messages. Now, for WhatsApp, this is where a lot of people also have been getting it wrong. Many people didn't know that you can see something on WhatsApp and also report it. That helps your WhatsApp groups, helps you also privately to protect your identity and also protect your different groups. So anytime you see any story on anything, please endeavor to report it. Also, tell your WhatsApp admins to activate not only WhatsApp admins, but all members of your WhatsApp group to also have the two-factor authentication. Then on no account should anybody ask you to send him a pin that they are doing a meeting, which is a popular thing that they are doing now. They will call you that you belong to so group. There's going to be a meeting sometime, so they are going to send you a code for the meeting. No way, sir. Nobody should ask you for any code. The moment you do that, that's where they now take over your account, and then in the process, they will go scamming other people in your name or sending threatening messages and other things. And remember, if anybody uses your own account or your name to go and send threatening messages or do anything libelous, when the arm of the law catches you, you have no excuse to say it is not your account. So it's your first step is to protect your online identity. So how to report post on TikTok is still the same thing. It's TikTok, as we know, is owned by China, and then the messages, they also have other means, the same means of reporting all these negative information and also threatening messages. Let's move on. Now, as journalists, please take this aspect very importantly. I'm going to be mentioning before the next slide, I'll be mentioning something, and I want you at least to have your pen and paper ready. We're going to write just four points, and then we'll hold it to ourselves. And I hope you get ready for that. Now, ethics of reporting about misinformation. The first one is assess whether a tipping point has been reached. And how do you do this? If the misinformation is being discussed in a small group, maybe like in your WhatsApp group that is not much, or some anonymous message board, then it may not require coverage as it will legitimize the content. What this means is that sometimes when you see some messages, it is not every message that you see that you now be sharing. That is what they want. By sharing, that means you are giving it coverage. So don't give all these stupid, I'm sorry to use that word, all these negative words, negative messages coverage. Don't be a conduit pipe for them to spread their propaganda. Now, the second one is, if the misinformation has spread to multiple platforms and is receiving a high level of engagement, that means it has reached a tipping point and should be covered. So if you see this type, the next thing that you need to do is please do report that thing, because it is the earlier you do it, the better, before it causes any more havoc. Next slide. Then the second point again, always verify the content before writing about it. Now, we are going to use, remember the first one we said, use the verification tips and tricks taught in this training. When we started with identifying, decontextualizing, spoofing, and scapegoating. You need to know that. Please, let's always keep this at the back of our mind. Also know about bot detection. Also know about misinformation and the SOX method. Then also know about fact-checking websites. Then about the reverse image. Now, for what I said, I want us to write. We need to check what is called the rotary four-way. We call it the four-way method, and this is important. The four-way test, the rotary four-way test. The first test says, is it the truth? That means whatever you want to write as journalists or as content creators, if you want to write anything or want to say anything in your life, not only in your personal life, but in your business life, you need to make sure first that it goes through this four-way test. One, you need to ensure, is it the truth? That is the first one. Now, the second one is it fair to all concerned? And then the third one, will it build goodwill and better friendship? And then the fourth one, will it be beneficial to all concerned? If what you want to write does not fulfill these four tests, then there is no reason for you to write about it. And I will encourage us to go on Google and just type the four-way test or rotary four-way test and choose images, and you see images or you see the four-way test. Please copy it somewhere and print it and paste it somewhere in your office to always remind you to do the right thing at the right time. Let's go to the next. Now, the third point here, don't inflate the importance of a single example. Not all problematic content is part of a widespread coordinated misinformation campaign. We have to be very explicit here. It is not everything you see that you must talk about. It is also not everything that you see that you must take out of context. Sometimes try to get clarity, try to get whoever is speaking to explain better in different words. That's why we do comprehension in our secondary school or primary school, where you read a passage and you try to give it a proper understanding. And then the second thing there, reporting about isolated example can attract more bad actors to the cause. Now, if there is an isolated example, maybe something just happened once, don't make it look as if it is something that is always happening. You are also giving it a bad traction, and also that's also part of a bad journalism. 4. Next slide. Headlines matter, especially on social media. The headline is often the only thing people see. In fact, a lot of people, like on the streets of Nigeria, especially in Lagos, you see people will just come to one bus stop and they will see a newspaper stand. And then that is all the people will do. They will be at the newspaper stand. They will not buy the paper. They will not watch on TV. They will not check on their mobile phones to go to the real story. They will just read headline. From reading headline, the person moves on to create his own story. From there, before you know, misinformation has taken place across the street. From misinformation, it goes to disinformation. Before you know, hate messages, hate news, fake news starts spreading about, then hate messages all over. And then if care is not taken, it could lead also to killing of so many people. Then the second point we will look at there again is avoid amplifying false claims by focusing on the truth rather than describing misleading details. Avoid headlines that repeat misinformation or frame it. You can see it there, which is highlighted. Now, for our next slide, don't embed images, videos, and links of problematic content. A lot of time, you will see some images on social media. Maybe something happens somewhere.
You have muted yourself, sir. Doctor, we can't hear you. You're muted.
We can't hear him. Okay,
Yes.
submit now.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, sorry. Okay, so like I was saying, I said, don't embed images, videos, and links of problematic content. This is very simple. Sometimes it is not everything you see that you go ahead to highlight or to speak about. You can see some images that are online. If those images will cause trouble, please, you don't have to go ahead to share those images. You have to be very careful with the kind of images, because sometimes some people only need to see an image before they start causing trouble across the country. So whatever it is, avoid it wherever you can. Let's move to section 4. How to protect yourself if you are targeted by misinformation networks or journalists. Very serious. How and why a network may target you. By network, we are talking about different groups of people, right? So then the second one is how to protect your privacy on various platforms. And then the third one, knowing when to report versus knowing when to engage versus knowing when to ignore. So journalists reporting on misinformation are frequently left vulnerable to online attacks by one, those who originate or support these views. Those who create these stories or their supporters usually will not like to see you reporting what they are doing. That makes you vulnerable to attacks by such groups. Then there are also people with strong political leanings. When some people are in support of a political party and you write something against their political party, even if what you write is true, it now makes you, it now puts up a decide they want to attack you or even plan to attack you. For example, we saw how a musician's house in the last election was burned down just because of what? Just because of perceived notion by some other people from another political party, thinking that the man has been singing against their principle. Now, the third point on our slide says they may organize coordinated attacks with the aim of forcing journalists offline and discrediting their reputation. And we've seen this done to some journalists, whereby a lot of trolls will go online and attack the personality of that particular journalist, so that they will force you to go offline. You now go into hiding, so that you won't be able to say the truth anymore. Then there is doxing. When personal information of journalists are published online, you can see that. And this is done a lot of time in counter-espionage by some countries, where they can just carry images and personal address of different people, especially journalists, to put it online, which could lead to people attacking you for no just cause. And it's unfortunate that our women journalists are particularly the most vulnerable to all these attacks. The women journalists are 4 times more likely to experience online threats or online harassment than their male counterparts. Next slide. So how women journalists are targeted? This comes in different ways. Women are more likely to be the target of online sexual harassment. Now, on social media, you will see cyber stalking, offensive and discriminatory language, soliciting for sex, false accusations, defamation, and slander against women, especially women journalists. A lot of this goes on social media, and then you see also use of fake accounts imitating a person and then posting sexual content or comments. You on social media, check very well. You will see different accounts that are not from the president, but they are fake accounts of the president. In fact, they do this to so many celebrities, where you see people creating fake accounts, or what we call parody accounts. And that has made some people to write maybe real or so. For example, you see presently President Obama was having different accounts until only one account is said to be his real account. Same thing with President Trump and now President Biden. Now this same thing we've seen President Buhari, different fake accounts coming out. Then there's also what we call cyber flashing, where you will see people bombarding your social media account with different pictures. This happens on Twitter, it happens on Facebook, and then even on your WhatsApp. Once they have your number, they will keep sending you different kind of messages. Now there's also the non-consensual sharing of intimate images and videos, and this is the same thing. You see them bombarding you. The aim is, and this they do a lot. The male journalists may not be saying this, but a lot of female journalists, even right here, when we ask questions now, you see when our female journalists ask them to start talking, you just be shocked at the kind of things that they see. Then you see manipulation of images, using photo editing tools to defame or humiliate a person by linking their face or identity to the original sexual content. With the coming of artificial intelligence now, it is even more trickish, that somebody can now create anything, can make you say things, carry your image and make you say things that actually you are not the one that they said. In a recent video that was shared online, a man in a presentation talking about AI, a man was asked to come out from the audience, and he came out. He was wearing a purple shirt, and then there was a basketball team playing, I think New York Knicks or so. They were playing basketball, and then one of the basketballers on screen was selected, and this man was scanned using his mobile phone, and then they now carry this man image and superimposed it on one of the basketballers, and then lo and behold, the man with the shirt and everything was there on the basketball field playing basketball and even dunking, doing three-pointer, and yet this man that was superimposed does not even know how to play basketball. But then how will he be able to prove to the world that he doesn't even know how to play basketball, when here is a video of him playing basketball and even dunking and even doing three-pointers? You can see how this has become even more challenging. So now, moving on to the next, how to protect your privacy. So one, manage your online footprint. This is very important. Even if you are not a journalist, even if you are not a citizen, you need to learn to manage your online footprints. One, review what information is available about you online and take note of the sites where this information is held. If you have your information on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, on LinkedIn, wherever you have, please be aware of the information that you share. Remove any information you are uncomfortable with in the public domain. Your address, your personal photos if you want, group photos, but any information you feel is something that is dangerous or can be manipulated or used by negative groups, please do ensure that you remove them. Now, disable location tracking for any social media account. In fact, the location tab on your mobile phones, you can disable it, because a lot of apps are always needing to use your location. You can disable that so that people will not know where you are, and people cannot also track you. Then you can set up Google alerts for your name, including any common misspelling. A lot of times, try to be doing some search on social media for your name. You'll be able to see what kind of things, what kind of information about you are there online. I usually do that. You can also make a schedule to tell yourself that you need to do online audit of your account to be able to know what kind of information about you are there, what kind of information it is that. In fact, do you know that a lot of people go online and can pick from your pictures and the stories you tell about yourself and what is available on your profile and create a pseudo account and use it to defraud as many people as possible under your name. And especially they do this to your own friends and loved ones. So how to protect your family? 2, you need to secure your account. Turn on two-factor authentication, or 2FA as we call it, for all your accounts. Like I said, you can turn on two-factor authentication for your Telegram, for your Twitter, for your Instagram, for your Facebook. In fact, you can even download what is called some software, which we have Google Authenticator, we have Microsoft Authenticator, which will help you to log in into any other account. On Facebook, there is something called the code generator. After this workshop, I'm going to paste how to do that on Facebook in the WhatsApp group so that we can also have it. Now, use something called a password manager to create long, unique passwords of more than 16 characters for all your online accounts. Please do ensure that your passwords are very strong. Do a password that is, make sure you mix capital letter, small letter, numbers, as well as some special characters. That will make your password strong. Why is this very important? It's important because a lot of times hackers usually do something we call ping. They will ping your website, and if your website, if your password, for example, is Salamatu, which is all letters, that password is simple. It will return once they ping your account, it will return your username as well as your password. But if you do a strong password and the person pings your account, instead of having your password, the person will have maybe up to 100 pages of jargon. That means, you see, the person will just give up. Now, the third point there, if you want to do use a password manager, there are different forms of password managers. The one that I use is called LastPass, LastPass, lastpass.com. I'm going to also put it in the WhatsApp platform for us to see. That's what I use personally. Then the last one is separate out your information online. Use social media account for either work or for personal use. Don't use one account for everything. Always separate them. Now, how to deal with online attacks? Write a statement outlining the situation and pin it to the top of your social media account. Always issue disclaimer. Take screenshots of the abuse, including the offensive message or image, the date, the time, and the name or handle of the harasser. Consider blocking or muting accounts that are harassing you. Consider disabling replies on Twitter. Only people you follow will be able to reply to your tweets. Once the attack has died down, you may want to ascertain who was behind it and their motives for targeting you. Now, when to ignore? Next slide. When to ignore versus engage versus report. Replying to those who are harassing you can often antagonize the situation. They are likely to increase the amount of online abuse if you respond to them. So, what is the best way for you to do? You can ignore abusive messages or posts that contain suspicious links or ask intrusive questions. You see, it is not everything, anybody that comes to you, that you have to respond. You can see in the examples given here, phishing attempts with fake links. People pretend to be a reputable company or contact in order to get you to reveal personal information, such as your phone number, bank account details, etc. Remember earlier on, I spoke about phishing, being that somebody can create a website looking like your bank's website, but it's not truly your bank's website. All they want from you, they want your name, your account information, so that they can just go in, log in, and just do whatever they want to do with you, most especially to harm you financially. Then, another thing you can do is engage only with trusted sources. Then the third one, report posts and users that threaten or harass you. Always make sure to report such posts so that Facebook or any of your platform will be able to deal with them. Do not allow anybody to cyberbully you or anyone to turn you into a pariah or make you scared. If you report any messages that you see online, if I also do the same thing, we'll be able to make sure our service online becomes. And then, as journalists, it is our own responsibility to ensure we do what is called ethical reporting. We have to put a lot of ethics. And don't forget, please do not forget, apply the SOX method as well as the rotary 4-way test. Thank you for having me for this workshop. It's been a wonderful time with all of you. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you very much, sir. In fact, a big round of applause for you. That was quite educative. That was quite informative. That was quite robust. And I'm sure that the journalists on the call are pretty much excited and enlightened. Thank you very much for that. Before we go to the question and answer segment, also the picture segment, I want to remind us that as usual, we'll be needing your informations, and I'm trying to get that message, yes. So please don't forget to post. First of all, I've posted the link to the post-training survey to test our knowledge and understanding about this training. And then secondly, you are required to send in your full name as it will appear in your certificate, and also send in your phone number and account number to transfer the 10,000 Naira stipend as provided by the US Embassy for data for each participant on this call, except those participants that took part in the morning session. The participants for afternoon session that are new would get this stipend for their data reimbursable. Thank you very much, Dr. Ahmed Magan, for this very energetic lecture with very practical examples and inputs that are not in the material for journalists. I was hearing concepts like phishing and all that. That's more on security, ICT security and all that. But it's nice to link these things, they are closely related. So if you have any question, kindly signify by raising up your hand. We have our chairman's hand up from Katsina, and I'm sieving through the chat box to see if there are other questions on the chat box. Okay, we have a few persons signifying that they have tested the bottometer out and how it went out. I think we would like to get your feedback on that, so we could yield the floor to you at that juncture.
Exactly.
Yes. But at this point, my chair, Alhaji Said Jibril, please, you have the floor, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much, Dr. Ahmed. Thank you for being a wonderful facilitator. We wouldn't have missed you. Thanks so much. And I want to applaud you again for bringing us closer to the 4-way test of the things we think Zero do by Rotary International. We'll now imbibe it in our group. Please, I want to pass an information to the participant, please. Concerning this data stipend that is going to be sent to you, don't go out and start sending in your brother's account, your sister's account, which will not reflect who you are attending this training. We have that case in Katsina, and up to this very moment, we have not resolved a lot of them. And secondly, when you come in, you walk in, you walk out, you cannot be captured properly the way it's supposed to be. And don't go out because you were not logged in or you were not able to attend the classes. You want the stipend to be sent to you automatically. I don't think we have that power to do that. Our power ends where we're made to reach. And when we reach that very level, we cannot do otherwise. So bear with us, whoever intend to be here and could not be captured, because automatically there is capturing that has been done, there's photographing that has been done, there is video that has been covered. You cannot be outside and you claim to have attended the morning session and the evening session. Thank you very much, Doctor. You have been a very wonderful person. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, my chair, for bringing that up. It's indeed a very strong reminder. Let's be ethical about these things and let it go around as it ought to be. Okay, so who would like to share their experience on bottometer and image reverse verification? Okay, someone is asking where this should be sent. Okay, you feel free to send it privately or publicly, but send it on the chat, please. Your name as it will appear on the certificate, your account number, and your phone number, please.
This
On
phone
the
number, but send that back. Not sure.
Okay, so any question or anyone that have tried this out, please let's be quick about sending these account details. Time is of the essence. Okay, I was wondering, Dr. Ahmed, do you want to share your screen so you demonstrate some of these ICT tools for them on site so that they can see it live?
Okay, let me try sharing my screen.
Okay, let me give you some admin privileges. Okay, you can now share your screen, sir.
Okay. There is one other account. I don't know if you can see the other one.
Your screen is not up.
There's another account. I have two accounts.
Okay,
there.
okay, yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Also give the other one admin.
No, it's only one that can be empowered at this point.
Okay, because the other one is a laptop, the other one is mobile phone. So I'm trying
okay,
to
so let me
use the laptop.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Let me quickly dig that up. Okay, for the other one, you are not fully connected.
Okay.
Yes, you need to enable your microphone on the other one.
Okay, let me do that. Okay, done.
Yes, okay. Oh, it's really tricky. Both of them have the same display picture. Okay, can you mute?
it's
Can you mute the one you don't want to use so there will be some differentiation?
Okay.
Please mute the accounts you don't want to use. Okay, excellent. Okay, so let me make this one host. Okay, I think you can take it from there. Okay, while we are on this practical session, please don't forget to fill the post-training survey and send in your certificate and account details. I'm seeing a couple on the platform and I'm harvesting them simultaneously. Thank you very much.
One moment, please.
Okay.
Okay.
It's very, madam.
Hello.
Okay, we can see your screen.
Okay, so you can see right here. We said there are 7 types of mis and disinformation, right?
Okay.
Hope you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you clearly.
We can hear you, sir.
You can hear me.
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Okay. Now, when you look at this screen, what you are seeing, these are the types of content that we have. You can see this one is text. Then here we have images, audios, and then videos. Now, look at this message here from which shows that is like from Donald Trump, right? This is just a practical example that we want to take a look at. Now, one of the places you can go, if you go to tweetgen.com, you can use that. It is good to write this down. Then you'll be able to use it to know the places and the people that are using fake accounts and so on. So now let's try a web search. Different search engines that you can use to fight fake news or to look for information as such as this ones. The most popular one there is our Google. We also have Bing, Yahoo, Baidu, Yandex, and so many others, more than 100 different search engines available, but Google is the most powerful. And there's something called advanced web search, right? So in doing advanced web search, what you do, you use something, for example, and or must be written in capital letter. For example, if you are searching for something, you can put Buhari and London. The and must be in capital letter. So now, Buhari and London gives results that only contain both Buhari and London. Or Buhari or London gives results that contain either Buhari or London. So you can see this one here gives you double results, while the one below gives you just one of the two. You can also do what is called a combined search. So we can say Buhari and London or America will give you results containing Buhari plus London, or Buhari plus America, or Buhari plus London plus America. What I will do for us is I will send this to us in the platform also. Now, symbols of advanced searches. This fact checking is very good for you as a journalist. Now, there is something called the wildcard. This wildcard is an asterisk. It tells the search engine that there is unknown text. For example, Balogun and then star street Lagos tells a search engine to look for street name Balogun something in Lagos. For example, if I write Ozumba dash Lagos, if the result will come, we know the street in Lagos called Ozumba Mbadiwe in Victoria Island. So if I say Ozumba star street Lagos, it will give me result of any other street that contains the name Ozumba. Now, if you look at this here, you can see 2 dots. This signals there is a range between numbers. For example, Toyota Corolla $2,000, two dots, $5,000. Just a search engine to look for pages with text, Toyota Corolla, and a price range between $1,000 and $3,000. The second example, Boko Haram victim, 2010.
So we're losing you. Your voice is very, very faint.
What about now?
Yes, excellent.
Okay. So now if we use site, for example, site column noa.gov.ng peace, we search the NOA website for mentions of peace. Now, if you look at this, site noa.gov.ng, peace in Nigeria, we'll search the noa.gov.ng website for pages containing that exact phrase. Then there is the one of file type. If you follow this address, you can see the last type is telling us PDF. This will bring out any PDF that is on that website that contains that address. Again, this same thing can also be done with this. So for example, dss.gov.ng file type, PDF, confidential. We search the DSS website for PDF files marked confidential. Now in URL means universal resource locator. So if we say in URL, that includes, these are simple methods that we can use. Then here, prefer parameters that every journalist needs to know. So this is what we do. Before I share information I find on the internet or social media, I must first of all stop, take a very good look. It's rotary test as well as method until you are sure that the method is good, is correct before you go ahead and share. Question: how do we do this?